On this week's Most Craved,
It's our Deadpool special.
We've got the writers of Deadpool, these guys.
Hey guys, welcome to Most Craved. I'm Jenna Bush with Legion of Leia.
I'm Silas Lesnick with ComingSoon.net.
I'm William Bibiani with Crave Online, and X is going to give it to you, Deadpool.
We've got RHETT REESE and Paul Wernick here in the studio. Thanks so much for coming.
Thank you for having us. Whoa, that was in
That was
stereo.
a
You
little
guys
bit
do that all the
crazy.
time?
We finish each other's
Sentences.
sandwiches.
When you write a script, do you just like in unison say the lines to one another?
I wish it were that easy.
So guys, congratulations on Deadpool. We are recording this the Friday that it opens. This is going to air like a couple of days later because it's a holiday weekend. But allow me to be the first to congratulate you on having the biggest opening weekend in the history of cinema.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Wow, you're like Nostradamus.
We
You already-
didn't, I don't think anyone predicted it would beat Star Wars, but it was way ahead of Star Wars.
$1 billion last night, right?
$1 billion? That's
Thursday night
never
billion.
happened.
Yeah,
That's
we're
amazing.
fired.
What's
up.
cooler than $1 million? $1 billion.
But it's doing really, really well, and that's fantastic. And good for you guys. That's
Thank
great.
you very
This must be
much.
really vindicating because you've been working on this for forever.
6.5 years now. Yeah.
Wow.
So it's we always say to each other, please God, after all the time that ball rolled back, up the hill and back down on us, this had best have a happy ending. So it's hopefully going to have one.
Well, the reviews are great. We all love it.
Yeah, in fact, I wanted to ask you guys just to start with the opening credits, which were hysterical, and the entire theater was rolling, and the movie hadn't started yet. Where'd that come from?
I think it's funny because I don't know whose idea it was. I can't remember. The slow motion crawl through the upside down SUV was always in the script. The idea to do faux credits came a lot later, and I think it was just a way to just very quickly remind the audience that this is not your average superhero movie. This is not probably what you're expecting. It's going to be irreverent. It's going to be silly. And we just wanted to grab them within the first 30 seconds and do that, send that message.
Was there any pushback on crediting yourselves as the real heroes here?
No.
Everyone was like, yeah.
Well, everybody kind of wrote their own credit. So Ryan wrote the God's Perfect Idiot credit, and Tim wrote the Overpaid Tool credit, and we wrote the Real Heroes Here credit, and everybody thought that was funny. So,
Ironic,
so we got to keep it in.
because
Ironic.
we're screenwriters in Hollywood.
We're
so
never the heroes.
You're heroes when you get to write it yourself.
Yeah.
That's true.
Now, so as we all know, and as we've been having a lot of fun with in the advertising, there was another Deadpool in the movies. Once.
Really?
Briefly.
Yeah, I don't remember that one.
Yeah. No, like how much was that? Did you really want to get into that? Because we don't really touch too much upon the earlier film, and I'm curious, was that always a mandate? We're gonna just sort of gloss over as quick as we can, or were ever thinking about explaining?
Well, we wanted to basically reboot it. I feel like the character wasn't done right. I think everyone will admit that it wasn't the perfect representation of who Deadpool is in the comics in the Wolverine Origins movie. And so we wanted to have our fun with it and then move past it quickly and create a real origin story for Wade Wilson and Deadpool. And
Were there rules about how you could reference Green Lantern, like how much you could say?
No, and if there were, we broke them. I mean, we decided basically that nothing was off limits, and Ryan in particular decided that nothing was off limits. And Tim Miller used to joke that this was Ryan's form of self-therapy because he got to make fun of a couple of the movies he'd been in previously and work out his feelings through that. So Ryan was on board with making fun of Green Lantern. In fact, he did it more than anybody, so we felt free to do it too.
Did you ever get any kind of studio pushback for some of the jokes you made in reference to other films and other characters?
no, the studio was great. 5 years they weren't great because they said no to us so many times. But once they actually said yes to us, they let us, all bets were off. They let us just go nuts. So
The timing of it was interesting because there was that footage that leaked. And then everyone on the internet was like, well, we want to see this. And then Fox is like, oh, what a coincidence. We're just greenlighting that. How much are you allowed to talk about that?
Well, we didn't leak it, so we can at least say that much. But we are on a short list of suspects. We are persons of interest, let's just say that.
Rhett's lawyer insisted he say, we're not suspects necessarily.
Yeah, exactly. We haven't been named
Yes.
yet.
Yeah.
But there were probably 6 or 7 people who would have benefited by such a leak, and it did leak. We still don't know who did it.
Ryan Reynolds.
The reaction was great. It was like our 12th man. The fans just rose up and said, "We demand to see more of this particular thing." And that, in combination with a couple other factors, Simon Kinberg coming on board, a regime at Fox and Jim Giannopoulos, Stacey Snider, and Emma Watts, who were receptive to this craziness. Those factors kind of just all came together at the same time, and lo and behold, we got our green light.
Was there an advantage in Days of Future Past having effectively rebooted the X universe at Fox?
I don't know, that may have helped, though the timelines get weird, and we make fun of that in the movie. So the timelines seem to be our enemy. We chose in Negasonic Teenage Warhead a character who really was very little known. She came from one comic issue, so we were safe there. Colossus also was a character that hadn't been used too much in the comics and wasn't necessarily identified too heavily with one particular actor. We made him CG. So it allowed us to dive into the X-Men universe and not worry too much about the reboot and the timeline change and things like that.
Yeah. Now, there's a lot of, this is an R-rated superhero movie, which is not unique. That's been done before. There's more sex in this one than I think we're typically used to. Well done. I think is my question here.
I was saying, is there a question?
Yes, more sex. Indeed.
Yeah. Like was that like in Ryan Reynolds' contract? I want to have sex with Marina Baccarin 12 times.
Wouldn't anyone?
Right?
But no, yeah, I mean, I think we made a conscious decision to push that because we were making a conscious decision to push everything, and sex is one of the very many things that you don't see in a PG-13 movie. So we said, let's go there.
Thank you for National Women's Day.
International Women's Day.
International. Apologies.
That was awesome. Well, you know
March 8th, by the way.
My birthday.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
So I think I
have
just had a
something to
glimpse
look
of my
forward to,
future,
right?
I know what you're going to be doing on International Women's Day.
Or what's going to be done to you, rather.
That's, you know what's funny though, because I looked at my Facebook page, because a whole bunch of my friends saw this, and everybody was saying the most romantic movie, and I was like, I guess it kind of is.
Yeah, I mean, what's interesting is, the marketing department has put up all these billboards around Los Angeles that, have the Nicholas Sparks, Happy Valentine's Day, that this is this romantic movie. But really, the joke's on them, because this is a romantic movie. It's a love story. And it was really important for us to ground the movie with this relationship between Wade and Vanessa. It really allowed us to care about the characters and to have our fun when we have our fun. But it's characters, I think, two broken souls who find each other, ultimately lose each other, and have to come back together at the end. It really is a Nicholas Sparks movie.
I liked that the moral of it is almost don't let anything change you, which in some ways is antithetical to a story, because you have characters go through changes, and yet there's something very refreshing about it.
Yeah, there is no character arc here. Deadpool ends up exactly where he started. I think that so much of the movie hinges on. Are we spoiling things or not?
It came out.
Okay.
I think
so much of
Spoiler
the
alert.
movie hinges on his decision to shoot Ajax at the end, because we're saying that no, we're not going to learn any lessons here. We're not going to turn good. We're not going to become an X-Man. We're going to stay who we are. And I think when we made that decision writing the script, it informed everything else. This is not an educational movie. It's not a message movie. No one's going to really change. It's just going to be craziness and silliness.
I'm terribly sorry. I actually did come away from the film with a valuable message.
You did.
I did. I looked at the film, and because honestly, what I was impressed by, dramatically speaking, was that Wade Wilson is a character who has cancer, and you actually treated that and his personal crisis over that very, very seriously, so that the decisions he made were understandable. And I was really sympathetic with him. And what I got out of it really was the importance of good humor in getting you through life's great crises.
Yeah.
So that you can shoot a guy in the head later. You probably wouldn't be able to do that if you didn't have your good sense of humor. So again, I have plans.
A very important life lesson.
I actually think that is a good
That's
life
a very
lesson.
good point, and that's how Wade Wilson deals with tragedy, through comedy, and it is the best medicine.
Yeah.
Well, you guys, it's sort of interesting, all the age jokes in there, because a lot of Deadpool fans are, not teenagers anymore. And I don't know if you guys saw the after credit scene.
Oh yeah.
But yeah.
The second after credit scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I love that was a Ferris Bueller thing. That's
Well, yeah, I mean, again, such a seminal movie from our childhood, and a character who broke that fourth wall. I think maybe first was.
I don't know. Well,
Annie Hall had done it before. It had been
Shakespeare
done.
did it, I think, right?
Well,
I mean,
yeah.
but yes, but that really popularized it. I
Yeah.
think Ferris Bueller doing it.
And so we wanted it to pay homage to that. And what was interesting is the head of the studio, Emma Watts, saw that and it clicked in her head and she's like, Ferris Bueller meets natural born killers. That's what this movie is. And it really, that's a great way to put it.
We were talking just before we started filming about some fourth wall jokes, like how far you could go with breaking the fourth wall. And I think, Blazing Saddles broke it down and then broke down the fourth wall of multiple other movies. Can you tell us like some of the ideas maybe you had that were too far or maybe got cut? Because there's so much.
Well, it's funny. We didn't end up cutting that much. We actually, based on some research screenings, created more fourth wall breaks because we had some, but people loved them so much they wanted more, so we just devised a few more. So it wasn't a sense of paring down as much as it was building up with regard to that.
I wanted to ask about Bob real quick, because that was one of my favorite cameos.
Yeah, well, he's not Hydra Bob, because if he were, we would be violating a rights issue. So he's just Bob.
Bob.
But the idea
He's
was
Hydra Bob.
There was actually
Wink,
a
wink,
shout out in the comics not that long ago in the whole Secret Wars thing. There was somebody asking about Bob, and they
Oh,
were
is
like,
that
"Oh, he
right?
left Hydra. He's over at Fox." It was FOXX.
Oh, is that FOXX?
Interesting.
That's funny. That's really funny. Yeah, we love the idea that in the middle of a pitched battle, suddenly you're talking about, oh my gosh, that silly small talk when you meet someone you haven't seen in a long time. TGI Fridays, of course. And then the awkward pause when you have nothing else to talk about.
And that helicarrier was not, in fact, a helicarrier.
It was just a carrier.
It was a carrier.
As I like to say, a hell of a carrier.
Ryan Reynolds has talked about how the character in the comics is very pansexual. And here he's just kind of straight up sexual. We're talking sequel. There's already been some momentum in that regard. Are you excited about the possibility of doing it? Do you think the world is ready for a Deadpool with a boyfriend?
It's certainly been ready for it in the comics, and in the long game, we want to honor the comics. I mean, there are hints of it in the first movie, but I think time will tell. Time will tell, and kind of what timeline we'll look at and who Deadpool is romantically involved with or not over the next few years of his life. So we'll just have to wait and see.
Going into extreme spoilers, one of the closing credit sequences, the end credit sequences, tells us that Cable is coming. Awesome!
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well done!
Yes. Yes.
Again, I don't really have a question here. I just think that's neat. Well, that's a whole can of worms, though, because he's really kind of indoctrinated into the X-Men universe. Deadpool's very tangential, and Cable's right in the thick of it.
Yeah, and we're going to have to, if we're so lucky as to do the sequel, we'll have to wrestle with that a little bit. He's also a time traveler, which we might have to wrestle with too, but all in a good way.
Keira Knightley's going to kill it.
She does have great range.
Yeah.
I'm curious, are you guys aware of how many Deadpool costumes you are going to, your movie is putting into Comic-Con this year? I mean, not that there aren't always Deadpool
Well, I mean, that's
costumes,
what I was
but
going to say. Can there be more than there already are? I mean,
it's shocking, but I think.
Sometimes it's a sea of Deadpools down there.
Yeah, it's going to be Deadpool and Kylo Ren this year.
Yeah, you're
it.
right. Yeah,
And Harley Quinn.
And Harley Quinn. That's
You're
true.
right. Those three people.
There's
are-
okay. There could not be more Harley Quinns.
That
If
is-
you've ever wanted to dress as Harley Quinn, you've already dressed as Harley Quinn, and by all means, keep doing it. But I'm just saying, I feel like we've hit maximum. Harley
Different Harley Quinn now.
Yeah, this summer could be peak Deadpool in San Diego.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Quinn. Awesome. So,
The weather forecast. Look at that peak Deadpool.
so is Deadpool like your thing now, or do you guys have other projects coming up?
We're always working on stuff. We've got a project called Life that is a sci-fi genre horror movie that we'll hopefully shoot this summer with Rebecca Ferguson and some casting very soon to be named. What else?
Well, we optioned a book about the decision by the Coca-Cola Corporation to introduce New Coke in the mid-'80s. as a reaction to Pepsi stealing their market share. We really think we could do a really fun movie about Pepsi versus Coke in the 80s, a period piece. So we optioned that. We hope to either sell it or write it on our own and then sell it sometime in the next near future.
Does that go as far as Crystal Pepsi? I feel like that's Pepsi's version of New Coke.
Yeah, no, Crystal Pepsi is a little bit later.
It's a sequel.
That's
exactly.
a
There you
post-credit
go.
stinger.
I like it. We can pitch a franchise now instead of just a standalone.
Awesome. Well, you guys, Deadpool is amazing.
So
Thank you
awesome.
very
And I'm
much.
sure everyone who's watched this has already seen it. See it again.
Yeah.
It's a good film. Isn't that nice?
Yeah,
You guys made a really good film. That
Thank
must be
you
feel
very
really,
much.
really
My
good.
face still hurts from laughing last
Oh,
night.
good.
That's so nice.
Good. That's nice to hear.
Awesome. So everybody, thank you for listening to and watching Most Craved because it's video. We have this whole Twitter account thing right here. You can tweet us. Tweet it. You guys on Twitter?
I
Yes.
am. Yeah,
Yes,
RHETT
I am
REESE
not.
at RHETT REESE.
Well, tweet at him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's cool.
I read his Twitter, so we're good.
Send all your messages to Rhett.
Yes.
Hey, everybody.
See you next
David to you.
week.
Thank
Thanks
you.
again, guys.